Hello everyone, Critterbusters here to share with you my thoughts on the new Friday the 13th movie. I went to see it last Friday, and on a Friday that was the best, Friday the 13th. What better day than to go see it, right? Now there is nothing new or original about this movie, but then again, it's just great to see Jason back on the big screen and in the woods again. It felt really nostalgic to see him back in his main territory after being to so many different places. Now the film is not brilliant in any way, it's not Oscar-winning stuff, but then again, none of the Friday the 13th movies were. The Friday the 13th movies were there just to have fun. They were the kind of films you and your friends would go to see just to check out all the different and creative ways Jason kills his victims, and how Jason himself gets killed in the end and how he keeps surviving. You weren't there for great storytelling or acting, you were there just to have fun. Or you would go to see these movies with your girlfriend, because as many people say, horror films are the perfect date movie. Now the death scenes were good, but not as gory as I thought they would be. Considering this movie was rated R18+, I expected to see some really bloody death scenes. I have seen more gore in MA15+ rated movies than in this one, and even the sex scenes weren't that graphic. Sure, you see some TNA, but it wasn't R-rated material. Well, not for the Australian rating system standards anyway. Our rating system is very different to the US rating system, so those of you who are not familiar with it, check it out if you wish. But overall, this movie was good. It was way better than that travesty known as Jason X, where Jason goes into outer space and becomes a cyborg. Sounded cool on paper, but in reality, not so much. And it was just great to see Jason back in the woods again for some old-fashioned slashing. That's the highlight of this film, because you really start to miss his old killing field. Not only that, Jason is also a little smarter in this film, of course, because this movie goes back to before he was a zombie, so that was a bit refreshing. Now, do I have any problems with this movie? Yeah, there are a few. The first one is the title. Why do they call it Friday the 13th? Couldn't they have called it something else? I know that this is meant to be a remake, but it isn't. It really is more of a reimagining or a reboot, as they like to call them nowadays. But I would have preferred if they called it something else, or they could have made it as a sequel to Jason X with a few minor changes in the beginning to how Jason came back in the film. That would have worked. And also, future generations aren't going to know which order these films go in unless they do some research on the internet, so that can be very confusing. I wish they could have called it something else. And another small problem I had was the ending. I'm not going to spoil it, but all I can say, it was so cheesy and cliched I laughed my ass off, but I guess in a good way. It felt somewhat nostalgic to me, like I was watching the early Friday the 13th again, but this time in the theatre. But overall, it was pretty good. It was nothing you already haven't seen in a Friday the 13th movie before, but it was still a fun movie to watch. Out of 5, I'd give it 3 stars. It was good. If you're a Friday the 13th fan, you shouldn't be disappointed. Well, that's all I got to say about the new Friday the 13th movie, folks. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.